Okay, good morning, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the first official town board meeting of 2022. Can I get a motion to open the meeting?
I will move to open the meeting.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hope not. Okay. So welcome. You will notice some new faces here. We are happy to have our newly elected town board members, Tara Castle and Victoria Tip here. And Chris will hopefully be joining us as a town board member soon. And then we welcome back, of course, Jeremy Salan, who is continuing in his role for the next 2 years. And I am your Lisa Katz, your new supervisor, who will also be here for the next 2 years. So before we move, this is our organizational meeting which is the first of the year, where we take care of a lot of ministerial things we need to do. The first thing that I'd like to do, though, Tara and Vicky were sworn in earlier today as councilwomen. And we also received earlier today an affidavit from Andrea Sanseverino Galan, who was elected, saying that she has now officially moved out of Newcastle. So she is no longer able to serve on the town board. And therefore we have, unless I'm incorrect, Ed, we have a vacancy on the town board. So before we move forward, I would like to entertain a motion, which is resolution 1, to appoint Chris Hildenbrand to fill that now open seat, the vacancy. Chris did run he was on all the billboards, on all the signs, on every piece of marketing material. So I think that the town knows who Chris is and knows that it was anticipated that, knowing Andrea was moving out of town, that he would be fulfilling her spot once that seat became vacant. So if there's no discussion on that, does someone want to read the resolution? It's number 1. Vicky.
I will be happy to read it when I find it. Because number 1 is appointments. So hang on.
While Vicky's looking for it, I'll note my objection now in lieu of doing it later. Lori Morton has been a town board member for some time, has obviously demonstrated a knowledge of the community, and has been a large part of how we've handled COVID and how we've handled many matters over the course of the past during her tenure, and more specifically the past 6 months. I'm sure Chris will bring, I have no doubt Chris will bring his own experience. I have no doubt Chris will bring his own perspectives and views. I have no doubt that Chris will do his homework. But we had an election where he was not a candidate formally. He was not a write-in candidate. Ms. Sanseverino Galan was on the ballot. In fact, there was literature about vote for Ms. Sanseverino Galan to then appoint Chris. I think in the way transparency works and good governance works, especially in light of the fact this is one of the things that was run on, is you appoint the person who actually ran and the person who's demonstrated a long-term commitment. But I wouldn't say in Chris's defense, Chris actually has demonstrated commitment in other ways as well. So that's not to take anything away from him in that perspective. It would have been refreshing and great to have him been able to debate if he was really a candidate. So I think that in light of the fact of how this campaign unfolded, whether he was a formal candidate or not, that Lori Morton has demonstrated her work and effort. I just want to note, and I'm sure it will go without being successful, that I do oppose and I do support and ask that you reconsider Lori Morton. So thank you.
Thank you. Just to Jeremy's point, it's not a law that you appoint the next highest vote getter, and in prior instances we did agree to do that because no one else ran at the time, and it was rather than appoint someone nobody knew, we appointed the next highest vote getter. Here it was always intended that Chris would take Andrea's spot. He was on all the campaign material, every mailer, spoke to residents, knocked on doors, did, you know, all indicia of being a candidate, other than because of the intricacies of election law, we could not get him on the ballot, and Andrea would have resigned had she been able to. But because of the intricacies of election law, she could not do that. In this situation, I think the voters knew we specifically said a vote for Andrea is a vote for Chris. So in this situation, I think voters knew exactly what they were getting here. So I do see, I understand what you're saying, but I do see a difference here than in prior instances where someone ran and it was going to be someone unknown who was appointed. So, all right, so let's consider this motion.
Okay. Well, before I make the motion, does anyone else have anything else to say? Okay, so then I move to adopt the following resolution. Whereas on November 2nd, 2021, Andrea Sanseverino Galan was elected to serve as council member on the town board of the town of Newcastle for a 4-year term commencing on January 1, 2022. And whereas Galan is no longer a resident of the town of Newcastle and therefore is ineligible to serve on the town board. And whereas Christian Hildenbrand is duly qualified and willing to serve as a council member on the town board in the seat vacated by Galan. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to New York Town Law, Section 64, Sub 5, and New York Public Officer Law, Section 42, Sub 1, the town board hereby appoints Christian Hildenbrand to serve as council member on the town board until December 31, 2022, and be it further resolved that the town clerk is directed to formally advise the Westchester County Board of Elections to make provision for the unexpired 3-year term of council member on the town board to be filled at the general election to be held on November 8th, 2022, and be it further resolved that the town clerk shall take such other and further steps as may be necessary to implement this resolution.
Can I have a second? From Tara.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. All right, then we have passed.
Jeremy, you are muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. I oppose. I didn't realize I was muted. I apologize.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. So congratulations, Chris. So I think we are going to take, we can stay on here, but we're going to take a quick break from the meeting in order to have Chris virtually sworn in.
Thank you. Okay. So just give me a moment, Chris. I'm going to read the oath of office. I'd like you to raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Christian G. Hildenbrand,
I, Christian G. Hildenbrand,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of Newcastle Town Council member
of Newcastle Town Council member
according to the best of my abilities.
according to the best of my ability.
Okay, and so Council Member Hildenbrand will stop by my office tomorrow. We'll sign this. So we'll have the official book, but now congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. So congratulations, everybody.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congrats.
And I really look forward to working with all of you, this whole board. So I'm very looking forward to it. I think we can do a lot of great things together. Jill, before we move on to the rest of the organizational meeting, can I make a few announcements? All right, have a few. First, the official, we did just swear Chris in. We are all duly authorized now to serve in our official capacities. But in the ceremonial inauguration, just as an announcement, will be occurring on Wednesday, January 12th. That's a week from tomorrow. at 6 p.m. Information as to how that will be done, if it's going to be virtual, in person, or hybrid, will be forthcoming. But everyone can mark their calendars. Anyone who wants to attend either in person or virtually, however we do that, will have that opportunity. My guess is most of it will be virtual. I think that probably we're going to have immediate families in person, and then anyone who wants to attend virtually will be able to do that. But we will be forthcoming with more information as we have it. Then just, we're having our first meeting by Zoom today because COVID is rampant right now. I wanted to just make a few announcements related to that. First, that we did give out all of the at-home kits that the county made available to us. They are expecting to have more, and as soon as we have those, we will certainly distribute those. But in the meantime, there is free PCR testing available at the Westchester County Center in White Plains. It's only available for symptomatic persons or those with a known exposure. It's not for travel, and it's by appointment only. We will send out the link for that. It's a website. There was an error on their website saying no tests are available until February 2nd. That is not true. They are working with them to update that website. In addition, there is a New York State COVID-19 test site finder to find test sites near you. Again, we will post that website. And you can also call the COVID-19 hotline at 888-364-3065. Those in need of a test can also make appointments at the Westchester Medical Center COVID's testing site in Valhalla by calling 914-202-4530. And Governor Hochul also announced that testing will be available at SUNY Purchase in the near future. It's not yet available, but we will certainly let you know when we have more information. In addition, the FDA has amended the emergency use authorization for the Pfizer vaccine, and the CDC still needs to weigh in and issue final clinical recommendations, but eligibility for boosters will include individuals aged 12 to 15. The time between a second dose and a booster shot was recommended to be shortened, and a third primary series dose for certain immunocompromised children aged 5 to 11 will also be authorized. In addition, a second dose of the COVID vaccine, including a booster, will be available Thursday, January 6th, that's in 2 days, at Bell Middle School from 3 to 7 p.m. So make a plan to be there if you need that dosage. I also want to talk, and I have not discussed this with the town board yet, but I wanted to just give you my personal view of what I'm hoping to accomplish for my first 100 days in office. It is not a small amount, but I'm hoping that we can all work together to get this done. And I just lost my paper. But I have a few things. The first is I want to introduce a student advocacy committee. We have many students who are very interested in politics and in government and how it works. So I do want to allow them to have access to our town and to government. So we are going to introduce a student advocacy committee. We are also going to look at a social media and communication policy for the town. That's going to include the town Facebook page, as well as how we are allowed to post, what things we need to agree to, what we can give our personal opinions on, and how once you have left office, whether or not it's appropriate to be posting as a former council person under that indicia, or whether that is deemed to be confusing. So we're going to include that. We're also going to talk about revising the sign ordinance that was looked at right before the election. We're going to look at that. We are also going to consider passing an affordable housing mandate in the Chappaqua Hamlet in the commercial business district to mandate that at least 10% of all new apartment buildings are affordable housing. We are going to work with the planning board. We're going to have a joint meeting to how we're going to streamline the planning board process. We're going to fill the ethics board and the CRE and the arts and culture committee and any other open committees that are available. We'd like to get that moving. And I'm also going to start with a new agenda item every week called Newcastle Community Corner. And what that is going to be is a way really just to bring community back into town government. And we're going to have an email that I will send out where you can write in if it's somebody's birthday or anniversary, or there's somebody got promoted or anything, really just to bring community back. There will be a few provisos on that. We're not going to tout anything for political purposes, but just really to bring our community back in. And then if you have a child whose birthday it is, you can tune in and let us, and he can hear or she us announce their birthday. So we are going to be putting that in place too. So those are kind of my thoughts for the first 100 days. Haven't really discussed it with the town board, and certainly we will need help from Jill and Ed and everyone else to try to get this moving along in the first 100 days. So those are my thoughts on that. Did any of the new town board members or Jeremy have anything that they initially wanted to just say hello, welcome? You don't have to give a speech. We're going to do that at the inauguration, but if you want to say hi, now is the time to do that. Anyone?
Sure, I'll start. I just want to say how absolutely thrilled I am to be here. I think the community has seen me on another board, but this is a little bit different for me. I'm so looking forward to representing the wonderful residents and town of Newcastle. And I'm really excited to start work with all of you, with Lisa, Jeremy, Tara, and Chris. And we have a great administration and staff here in Newcastle. So I'm really looking forward to supporting all of you and to doing great things with you for our town. And I'll also say, Lisa, I love your 100 days plan. I think it's really consistent with things that we talked about in the last year, with being inclusive, starting with the student advocacy and filling the open committees like the CRE. So I'm really, really excited to start work on those.
Good. All right.
I'll continue in that vein. Really thrilled to serve, excited to serve with all of you. And I'm looking forward to bring the town together to achieve some of the goals that you set forth, Lisa, and so much more. It's been such an interesting time for our community over the last year or two. And I'm excited to see what we can do as we bring everyone together and move forward and really empower our community even more. So thank you for the opportunity.
Chris,
I'll chime in briefly and just say, thank you for putting your trust in me. When I joined the Unite Newcastle team over the summer, it was because I was so impressed and honored to be joining you guys in trying to work to achieve great things for the town. I've admired what the town board has done, over the years, and seen how hard they work, and excited to work with you guys and Jeremy as well to do great things for the community. So thank you.
Well, I feel that I'm compelled to add that I think that my actions and efforts have spoken for themselves in terms of putting the community first over the past few months and years. I have no doubt that whatever differences we may have, we may not agree on everything, but I'm confident that we will work together wherever we're going with this in terms of policy, legislation, ideas. Disagreeing is fine, but at the end of the day, we're all going to try to do what's best for the community. So that is my ad. Thank you.
Perfect. And I love disagreeing, because I think together thoughts that don't necessarily coincide on every little point can actually make the ultimate outcome much better. So I look forward to working with everyone. Not just on the board, but all of town staff, attorneys, everyone. We couldn't do it without you. So thank you. All right. And now getting back to the meeting. we are going to start with appointments. So Tara, if you want to kind of do the resolutions on the first page, and then you can do Vicky, and then Chris, and then Jeremy, we can kind of, that's just the order you guys happen to be on my screen right now. And then that's probably the easiest way to do that, by Zoom.
Okay. I'm not sure I have that at the ready right now, so maybe you want to move to.
Okay, so
Chris,
Vicky, you want to start? Under
Sure,
appointments?
with resolution, with the
Under
appointments.
appointments.
With appointments, okay. So I move to appoint the following individuals in the following capacities for 2-year terms to expire on December 31, 2023. Town Engineer Robert Cioli, Town Controller and Deputy Town Administrator Robert Deary, Town Clerk Christina Papes, Receiver of Taxes Christina Papes, Commissioner of Public Works Bart Carey, Fire Marshal Robert Bancroft, Civil Officer Police Officer Rick Tolliver, Marriage Officer Christina Papes, Lauren Cascone, and Lisa Katz, Registrar of Vital Statistics Christina Papes, Deputy Registrar of Vital Statistics Lauren Cascone.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. I will announce that the town clerk and receiver of taxes has appointed Patricia Antonucci as deputy receiver of taxes. We are also announcing the appointment of Victoria Tip as deputy supervisor for the year 2022. And we are announcing the appointment of Jill Simon Shapiro as budget officer for the year 2022. All right, so now let's move to the organizational resolutions at the bottom of page 2. Take it away.
Shall I continue, Lisa?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, we are up to the organizational resolutions, designation of town council, correct?
Yes.
Want to make sure I don't skip anything. Okay, I move to appoint Keenan Bean as town council at the rates described in their letter dated December 14th, 2021 for a 1-year term to expire December 31, 2022.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed?
I just had a question, if I may. And Ed, we emailed about this earlier. Just I've never done a 1-year retainer engagement. So just make sure I understand, how that works. That's just billed monthly for all of the municipal work. If over time the town, looked at other areas, those are done project by project. Is that correct?
Chris, when you say other areas, you mean other types of work
Yes.
that might fall outside the retainer?
Exactly.
Yeah, so special projects, work that falls outside the retainer would mean essentially things that are not the day-to-day routine work that we do within the retainer, like a major legislation. And when we have something like that, we will confer with Jill, with Rob Deary, and make sure that there's consensus that that is in fact something that should be taken outside the typical, the ordinary, and be billed separately.
Got it. Okay. And then over time, obviously, as that, I assume just the nature of the relationship, that's a collaborative discussion, what is and what is not within the normal scope, right?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I would defer to Jill and Rob if they want to add some color behind that.
Okay.
That's fair. And actually, we I can't think of an instance where a matter was billed outside the retainer where there wasn't a preliminary conversation and a consensus with council first.
Yeah, and I would add a couple. So for example, labor matters fall outside of the retainer. That would probably be the biggest, probably single category that would fall outside the retainer, especially coming up. We have contract negotiations ongoing and employee discipline and those types of things.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Tara.
Okay. I move to appoint Stuart Miller and Carlos Ramirez as town prosecutors at the salary of $6,000 each annually for a 2-year term effective through December 31st, 2023.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right. Next, Tara.
I move to appoint Jill Simon Shapiro as town administrator at the salary and terms described in the contract attached.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you. Thanks, all.
Next, designation of
you.
official newspaper. Thank you, Jill. We look forward to driving you crazy.
Nonsense.
All right, Tara, keep going. Number 4.
Okay. I move to designate the Journal News as the official newspaper of the town for purposes of publishing legal notices during the year 2022.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right.
Okay.
Number 5.
I move to adopt the Town of Newcastle procurement policy for 2022 as annexed hereto for adoption January 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Being there are no nays, I'm just going to move on. All right, Chris, you want to do the next page you have in front of you?
Sure. This
Number
is like
6.
Passing the Seder pages around the table. I resolve that the Newcastle Town Board hereby establishes the following fees and charges for the fiscal year 2022 per the schedule attached.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Adoption of mileage rate. I hereby move to set the mileage reimbursement rate of $0.575 per mile for the year 2022.
Second.
All in
Rob, is that
favor?
the-
Aye.
Aye.
Rob, was that the right number? The 575, or wasn't there just a change?
Right, yeah, it was revised upwards to 58.5 cents for 2022. The IRS always gives that figure to us late in the month of December, and I think we had
I'm sorry.
already.
So, yeah, so.
So move to
this-
amend it.
Yes, please, Jeremy. Thank you.
So moved.
Just need a
Second.
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 All in
Thank you.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Adoption of Robert's Rules of Order. I move to adopt Robert's Rules of Order as the official guidelines for conducting all town board meetings.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Adoption of part-time salary schedule. I move to adopt the part-time employee hourly salary schedule for the year 2022 per the attached schedule.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. I move to adopt the following resolution. Resolve, the Newcastle Town Board hereby adopts a salary schedule as attached for full-time employees of the town of Newcastle as it appears and is appended to the 2022 adopted budget, with the understanding that salaries for certain union and non-union employees are subject to further modification as a result of employee evaluations and contract negotiations.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 We'll get this down pat soon enough.
We will.
Little slow, it's all right. I move to adopt the following meeting schedule for 2022, noting that meetings are all held on Tuesday. It will begin at 6:30 PM, except as noted and as reflected below.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, so we're back at the top. Vicky starts now. We're back up. Vicky, you're on setting water rates.
Setting water rates. Thank you.
But that's a fun one.
I move to adopt the following resolution. The town board, acting as commissioners of the Newcastle Stanwood Consolidated Water District, hereby sets the basic district water rate for all water billed on or after January 1, 2022, including water consumed but not billed prior to January 1, 2022, at $85 per 1,000 cubic feet. The net usage rate to be billed to consumers within the district after allowance for the ad valorem assessment for water district charges and application of reserved capital proceeds from the sale of an interest in the water treatment plan to the village of Pleasantville shall be $56 per 1,000 cubic feet. B, the town board finds that water consumption of more than 6,000 cubic feet by any particular water user in the district during any single billing period creates a substantial likelihood that penalty charges for excess per capita water consumption will be imposed on the district by the New York City Department of Environmental Protection, and determines that a surcharge is necessary for water consumed or used in excess of 6,000 cubic feet in order to encourage conservation and offset any such penalty that the NYCDEP might impose. The town board, acting as commissioners of the district, hereby sets a two-tier district water surcharge rate in addition to the net usage rate of $56 per 1,000 cubic feet for all water in excess of 6,000 cubic feet consumed or used by any user in any billing period and billed on or after January 1, 2022, including water consumed but not billed prior to January 1, 2022, at $70, a $14 surcharge, plus the net usage rate of $56 for each 1,000 cubic feet or portion thereof in excess of 6,000 cubic feet, but less than 10,000 cubic feet. And at $75, which is a $19 surcharge, plus the net usage rate of $56 for each 1,000 cubic feet or portion thereof in excess of 10,000 cubic feet. C, district assessment. In connection with the assessment of the district for $991,739 of costs, the town board, acting as the town board and as commissioners of the district, confirms the generation of $991,739 by ad valorem assessments against properties in the district, and that such assessments are made and shall be applied by the district for costs relating to maintenance and repair of district assets, and to meet interest charges with respect to the district.
Anyone second?
Second.
All in favor?
I
It
just want to say I loved reading that.
was very impressive.
Very
Vicky.
interesting and
Very
quite well
impressive.
thought out.
All right,
Okay.
Tara, do you want to go to
Okay.
number 13? You do not need to read all of those account numbers.
Okay. Yes, I assumed I didn't have to incorporate the numbers. I move that the following banks and accounts be designated as official Town of Newcastle bank depositories for the fiscal year 2022. JP Morgan Chase, including tax receipts, town clerk, planning escrow, joint bail, Justice Kraus, and Justice Sorkin. Wachovia Bank Wells Fargo, including main depository, payroll, credit card fees, flexible spending, accounts payable, and credit card. TD Bank North America, including Water Fund Lockbox, Advantage Lead, and Investment. Signature Bank, including investment, and NY Class, including investment accounts.
Any second?
Chris, you did second. I'll second you.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Tara, go on, you can do the next one.
Okay. I move to adopt the following resolution. Resolve that pursuant to Section 11 of the Public Officers Law, the blanket bond coverage of official undertakings for the Town of Newcastle officials and town employees shall be fixed at $1 million, except that excess coverage for various officials shall be set as follows. Supervisor, $50,000. Deputy Supervisor, $50,000. Receiver of Taxes, $250,000. Deputy Receiver of Taxes, $250,000. Town administrator, 50,000, town comptroller, 50,000, and that the form and content of said blanket bond and official undertakings be approved by the town council, and be it further resolved that a verification certificate of insurance by name shall be filed for the following town officials: Supervisor Lisa S. Katz, Deputy Supervisor Victoria B. Tip, Town Administrator Jill Simon Sapiro, Receiver of Taxes Christina Papes, Deputy Receiver of Taxes Patricia Antonucci, Commissioner of Public Works Bart Carey, Town Comptroller Robert Deary, Town Justice Douglas M. Kraus, Town Justice Noah Sorkin, Civil Officer P.O. Rick Tolliver, Town Clerk Christina Papes, Deputy Town Clerk Lauren Cascone.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, Chris, you want to read starting 15? Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute.
Would love to read 15. Annual financial statement. I move that in accordance with town law, Article 3, Section 2910A, and in lieu of preparing an annual financial report, the supervisor and or the comptroller shall be authorized to submit to the office of the town clerk a copy of the annual report, which must be submitted to the office of the state comptroller, and further that a notice that such report is on file and available for public inspection be published in the official newspaper of the town.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 16, resolution authorizing the classification of 2015 through 2016 outstanding parking tickets as uncollectible. I hereby move to authorize the town comptroller to classify the outstanding parking tickets issued in 2015 and 2016 as uncollectible and take such other action as necessary to implement this resolution.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, go one more.
Administrative items. Authorization to enter into an agreement with Northeast Westchester Special Recreation, Inc. I hereby move to authorize the town supervisor to execute the 2022 interagency agreement with Northeast Westchester Special Recreation, Inc. Along with neighboring municipalities, this agreement provides a collective program of therapeutic recreation services for individuals with disabilities residing or domiciled in our area. For 2022, the town of Newcastle's municipal match contribution is $13,271.35 to provide these services to 32 Newcastle residents. This annual contribution is distributed payable as follows. Per capita match, $8,009.41 payable by January 31, 2022. Per participant match, $5,261.94 payable by June 30th, 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 I move to authorize entering into an agreement with the SPCA Westchester for the period of January 1, 2022 through December 31st of this year for the total amount of $12,872.04 payable in monthly installments of $1,072.67.
Okay, I'll second.
All in favor?
May I ask a
Aye.
question here? Sorry to jump in. I read in the contract, so they agree. This is a non-euthanasia facility. Is that correct?
Yes,
That's sort of the understanding historically, Jill?
yes, they
Okay,
don't,
and-
they don't euthanize
Right.
dogs. No.
And I assume we've never had an issue over history with, okay, great. Thank you. No objection.
All right. I move to approve the payment of claims in the amount of $1,044,964.27. Listed in the summary pre-check writing report, detail voucher, detail report, both dated December 30th, 2021. Checks will be issued and mailed to each claimant listed on Wednesday, January 5th, 2022.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 I move to authorize the hiring of Jonathan Doyle to the position of labor with the Department of Public Works Highway Unit at the annual salary of $48,055.31 effective January 10th of this fabulous year, hopefully less COVID.
2022.
That would be this year, yep.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed?
No.
All right, Vicky.
Okay. Authorization to accept retirement. I move to accept the retirement of Frank Nestro from the Department of Public Works Highway Unit effective February 18th, 2022. The town would like to thank Frank for his 25 years of dedicated service.
Can I have a second?
Second,
Second.
absolutely. Thank you so much for all your service.
Thank you, Frank.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Frank.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And thank you, Frank, for all your service.
I move to authorize the posting of the position of laborer 0425-05 within the Department of Public Works Highway Unit at the annual salary of $48,055.31 to $65,994.60. Group 2, Step 1 through 5, with a start date of February 22nd, 2022.
Tara, would you like to second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move to accept the resignation from Judith Claren and Leslie Smith from the Millwood East End Advisory Board, effective retroactively December 7th, 2021.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All
Move
right.
to adjourn?
Does anyone want to adjourn? Can I
I
get a
move to
second?
adjourn the meeting and move into executive session, advice of counsel, personnel and litigation. At what time was it? We're doing it at 7?
6:43.
Six,
it
are
could
we
be
gonna, what
then,
is it?
6:43.
We're doing it immediately? All right, 6:40,
Yep.
6:43.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
No.
All right. Well, thank
Thank
you,
you all.
everybody, and thank you, everyone who listened to our first very administrative meeting. And we wish you a very, very happy new year and lots of health for everyone in 2022.
Here, here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night. Good night.
See you in a moment.